narcotic, a state of euphoria, stupor, or coma. Any of a class of substances that blunt the senses. Morphine, heroin, cocaine, alcohol. These substances relieve pain. You remember the old Western movies? When the man was about to have an operation, they had to anesthetize him. So they gave him a bottle and they put a stick in his mouth. And they went to cutting, trying to get the bullet out. But look, man, if alcohol blunts your senses and you don't have too much sense as it is, did I say something wrong? What do you look like drinking? These substances cause sedation, induce sleep.
Yes, sir.
You know what sleep is? It's a state where you are not conscious of what is going on around you. You could be wide awake, but not conscious when you're drunk, when you're high. That's a terrible condition to be in the day and hour of judgment when the white man's world is coming down. You drunk, you high, you don't know what's going on around you, so you cannot prepare to save your life when the white man is dying and preparing to kill you to rob you of your future. Cocaine, a bitter crystalline alkaloid, obtained from coca leaves. It is used as an anesthetic to deaden pain, put you to sleep. The word anesthetic is from a Greek term meaning without feeling. Without feeling. Please listen. Look, man. Look, brothers. When you're alive, you got feeling. Somebody touch you, you say, oh, that hurts. You got feeling. You're alive. When somebody shoots you with morphine and you can't feel no pain, you are without feeling. But what happens to you, brother, when you're on cocaine or alcohol and you look at your own black and Hispanic brother? He don't live in the same neighborhood. He don't belong to the same gang. He don't wear the same colors. And without feeling, with coldness, you kill your brother and you don't care nothing about it. Without feeling, you rob your mother. Without feeling, you rape the elderly, beat them. Without feeling. This is what drugs are doing to our community. It is producing a zombie-like people that are alive but dead, conscious but not conscious of what is going on around them. They have no feeling for the world that's coming down around them. They have no feeling. They have no sense of love and brotherhood. Although Hispanic people are suffering, why should one brother kill another? Although black people are suffering, why should one black brother kill another? For what? What is your reason? Because you're out of your mind. you're sick. And the white man is enjoying this because as long as he can keep you drugged and keep you killing yourself as a black man, keep you killing yourself as a Hispanic man, and then put the poor black and the poor Hispanic to killing each other. As long as we do that, the white man knows he can continue to hold on to power even though his time is up.
Even though his time is what? His time is up?
His time is up.
Brother Loud.
What a word.
That's what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, sir.
Praise be to Allah.
Sister Kalila, you couldn't have picked a better clip to get us started.
Look, all I can say is alhamdulillah. I hope the bells are ringing.
If they're not, they need to ring now.
And go get your peoples. Y'all know the assignment. Go get your peoples. It's going
the final
down tonight,
call.
fam.
Let's go.
Me and you, your mom and your cousins too.
Hey, no, you go on the corners today. Wherever y'all see I'm in Miami, so it's rolling loud weekend. But wherever you see a rolling cloud, go get your peoples. Go get them right now.
That's right.
You may want to depend. So anyway, welcome in, family. Thursday Night Talks, as we started off with the message from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, dropping always bombs, always giving us something to feed off of. But we want to again welcome you in. Greetings, assalamu alaikum. I pray all that is well with everyone. An important show this evening. We want to make sure, like Brother Lau says, go get your peoples because it's an important. We got a very
all of them. Go get all of them. Even little Pookie and Ray Ray. Get them all.
Yes, all of them. Because I've shared it out with my family as well. I'm hoping and praying that they come on and join it because we got a message tonight.
Right.
Okay. And we got a special guest, but that's gonna break it down. Again, if you don't know what we're talking about, go before we even announce it, go on our Facebook page because we're live. But we have other things that are happening that have led us up to this moment. But we want you to embrace this. But after this, go back because we have so much that we've given that you can take and share with you, your family, your community, friends, everyone. So I am your sister, Michelle. I am your moderator for this evening.
Sister Michelle. That's the hostess for the most. Y'all give us some love, Sister Michelle. Trying to get away without getting that love.
Thank you, Brother Lau. Well, I appreciate you all. I thank my crew, my 7th Region Coalition crew on this line, and those that are in the region and helping us to continue to push this message of course, healing, acknowledgement, wisdom, everything that we can give you that the enemy is not, we share right here on the 7th Region Coalition Thursday Night Talks. So I will not belabor the message, but Facebook, if you're not on Facebook, and you're on YouTube, you can see this program right now. And we do have some updates on IG. We'll get a little bit more active, but we want you to make sure that you come back, Facebook, YouTube, that's where we are. Go get your peoples. Please share. Do it now. No time but the present. So share it out. And Brother Lau, with that being said, I will pass the baton to you. There you go.
Look at that. Out in the elements, and I still got the baton right. Family. First, let me say assalamu alaikum to my Muslim brothers and sisters. Praise the Lord to my Christian brothers and sisters. Ungawa, black power to you, black revolutionaries. To all you peace and freedom loving people out there across the land who love and support the 7th Region Coalition. Peace and blessings. And again, as you're going to get your people, your brothers out in the elements tonight, sometimes we got to do triple duty. That's all right, though. If you got 6 children, trust me, you're supposed to be in 100 places at one time. But this is so valuable, is so important tonight, dear family. So look, first of all, look, to all of the potheads, y'all got to tune in tonight. Just keep it 100 with you. Right. Go get them. All y'all who know potheads, go get them. They need to tune in tonight. And I just want to say, I am so thankful that we are blessed in the nation of Islam to have men and women, not just of integrity, but men and women of scholarly pursuit. I'm not going to tell a topic. I'm not going to do that. But look, I better go get your peoples. But I do want to say this. How often do you get a chance to hear from someone who is actually on our national council.
Wow.
So, brothers and sisters, as you go get your peoples, I got an easy one right now. I want to pass this up to my beloved sister, Sister Khalida Muhammad.
Oh yeah, this was a really easy one. Yeah, I got it. I'm running.
Baton was easy today.
Well,
I want to first start off in the most holy name of Allah, bearing witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. I would like to greet my family in a greeting words of peace in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum.
wow.
Alaikum salam, man.
I just want to let y'all know that I'm a 70s baby. I might look like I'm 25, but I'm definitely a 70s baby, right? And I remember this song that came out, right, by Rick James, right? And it was titled Mary Jane, right? So when we were growing up, everything was very subliminal. It was like it wasn't as detailed as our modern day R&B, right? So when I was young, I didn't know what Mary Jane was, but as I got older, I came to find out what it was and the details of the song. So today we're going to find out just how much you love Mary Jane and why you love Mary Jane and why it's a part of your DNA now, because it's so ingrained in your system and it's going to take a serious detox in order for you to even remove it out of your system. This is how serious this drug of choice has been. Weed is now the common cigarette. So you're on the corner, you're smoking it. You can get it from your local store now. You can get it from any distribution because now that's the hottest thing. But we got to find out why it's hot. Why is the people in this society making a profit off of the people that is needing this drug as a remedy for pain and all types of other issues that allegedly you have. But we're going to go so deep off into that.
Y'all think she's a little bit fired up about the topic tonight?
Listen, I am fired up. Listen, because look, you got to realize you have family members that really depend on it because they feel like that if they cannot have it, they will deal with some form of anxiety. Or you're bothering me, so let me go and get high to relieve something or to block you out. But this is the time to say when you're relieving, you're literally leaving something behind, and that is your lifeline. But we're gonna go into detail about it because it's gonna be real in the Ville. All right. Without further ado, I am going to pass it on to my dear brother.
Well,
brother
I'm ready.
Antonio with the one hand snatch.
With the one hand snatch,
Antonio.
Dear family.
All savvy.
In our tradition, in the name of the one God who bears many names, some know him as Jah, others know him as Jehovah, others know him as Dios, some know him as Bombier, some know him as the great wind or the great spirit, some know him as Allah Dumare. Regardless to the name, call on the God. I bear witness to the oneness of Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. I am forever thankful to Allah for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I thank Allah for the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to I was going to say Sunday night talk, but no, this is Thursday night talk. Maybe I have Sunday on my mind.
That's because you're talking Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Brother Tony. You always
Thursday. But this topic that we're going to be going into tonight hits home because I am an educator by trade, by profession, and I see this affecting so many of our young people's lives, and they get involved in things that they don't have no idea about. But guess what? Their parents are about it themselves. And they start experimenting, seeing their parents involved. Sometimes these children come to the classroom smelling like their homes. And so they can't hide it. Their parents can't hide it. And our children are some of the greatest victims to this condition today. We're going to go into exactly what that is in just one moment. So it's an honor to serve in this capacity and to guide our people to safety in this hour under the regional leadership of Student Minister Patrick Muhammad, who put together the 7th Region Coalition to help save lives, to guide our people to safety. First, in the midst of the pandemic, and also the pandemic of drug abuse, marijuana abuse, which we're going to go into right now.
And without further ado, Brother Tony, can you put in the record of 2 of the ministries that we will be topping? Really,
absolutely. It would
listen,
be an honor.
It's all of the ministries, but these are the 2 main ministries that we're going to touch.
Tonight, we're going to be under the microscope, if you will, of the Ministry of Information, first and foremost, which is the mission. The mission of the Ministry of Information is to oversee and develop the literature of the Nation of Islam to better inform the public and membership of the history, policies, teachings, and program of the Nation of Islam, to collect and disseminate information via newspapers, radio, television, internet, magazines, and all other sources, to develop information systems and networks for secure internal and external communications, to initiate media program development and management, to publish books, pamphlets, and magazines, and set up an Office of Media Affairs and Press Secretary. This program here also falls under the Ministry of Health and Human Services. The Ministry of Health and Human Services is responsible for the health and well-being of the members of the Nation of Islam, registered and non-registered alike. I'm a little note, if you think that you're not in the Nation of Islam and you're not registered, well, I'm not in the Nation of Islam. No, if you're living here on this planet, you are a member of the Nation of Islam, and your health is under our charge. So registered and non-registered alike, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, as individuals, families, and communities. Health is defined as the state of being of the individual and his family and community that is the fulfillment of the ultimate perfection that is the intention of the Creator.
Praises be to Allah. And without further ado, Sister Michelle, can you read that bio in the notes, please?
Yes.
Now, as you get to read that bio, Sister Michelle, there was a part of the bio that was left out at the end. So as soon as you get to the end of the bio, I got to say that part that was left out, and then I want them to see our brother. All right.
All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, no further ado. We are talking about our special guest this evening, Brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad. He is an author, a historian, professional, scholar, and a minister in the Nation of Islam. He received a Bachelor's of Arts in Religious Studies from Morehouse College, graduating with honors in 1994. In 2003, Dr. Muhammad received a master's degree in Islamic Studies from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, whereas he also received a PhD in Islamic Studies with a focus in early theological development in Islam. Dr. Muhammad's doctoral work included training in classical Arabic, biblical Hebrew, German, and French, and he conducts research in those languages. Twice as a graduate student, Dr. Muhammad's research earned him the highly honored Great Books of Islam Prize given out by the Center for Middle East and Near Eastern Studies at University of Michigan. Dr. Muhammad is also a research warrior holding posts for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, trained elite Nation of Islam research group, combating the lies and deceit, attacking the minds of Black people from the cradle to the grave. In addition to his scholarly accomplishments, Dr. Wesley Muhammad has been a guest on some of the hip hop's music's biggest platforms, including The Breakfast Club and 103.5 The Beat. Yes, I'm from New York. I know all about that. And has been an advisor to such hip hop. One of our
Luminaries.
favorites, Jay Electronica and Jay-Z. Wow. Okay. So Dr. Muhammad is a father, a husband, and warrior for his people. So on that, I will turn it over to Brother Lau to finish out the last part.
So as our brother bring him up from the dugout right now, I want the brothers and sisters to also know that he is a fearless defender of truth. I want you to know that he's a soldier of soldiers, and I want you to know that the brother you're going to hear from right now, he loves you more than most people you think. And I want to tell you, family, right now, go get your people. Dr. Wesley Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Family. Alaikum salam. It is so excellent to be with you all this evening. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Alhamdulillah. We are humbled, brother. I've been waiting for this for a while. And it's the showdown.
That's right. That's right. Did it say on that bio that our brother is a member of our national council?
It did not.
It did not. So, brother, why don't you at least let people know what that is? And then we can delve right into this topic.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First, in the name of the Holy God, Allah, who came in a personal master for Muhammad, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is his living and exalted Christ, and I further bear witness that the honorable brother Minister Farrakhan is their divine reminder, Messiah in our midst. Again, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you, Brother Lau, for your question. Allow me first to make, if I may, correct something in that bio. I am not an advisor to Jay-Z. Shout out to the God Jay-Z. I would not describe myself as an advisor to my brother Jay Electronica. Shout out to the God Jay Electronica. Those are my brothers. And I just would not want that to go out like that. That I'm an advisor to either of them. I am not. I'm their brother. The Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan, being wise and foresighted, knowing that he will rendezvous with his father, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Not in death, because once we're dead, we're dead.
That's right.
But a living Farrakhan will rendezvous with a living Elijah Muhammad. And in preparation for that, the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan put a continuity of government plan, or he executed a continuity of government plan. He established the Executive Council to govern the affairs of the nation in his absence. There are 13 members of the Executive Council whom the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan personally selected for the seat on the council. We govern our nation by Allah's permission under the guidance and direction of the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan. I'm honored to have been selected by the Messiah for such a huge task and responsibility. I don't take it lightly. I don't say I deserve it. Certainly, for however many days I'm blessed to be so fortunate, I will work hard to approach being qualified to sit where the Messiah has placed me.
One of 13, family, and he's here with you tonight on Thursday Night Talk. What be ye the topic tonight, family?
So the topic tonight is real simple. The plot, hip hop, tricknology, and we're going to find the connection tonight. And with our dear brother is going to help us and guide us with that connection. And we're going to start with some questions. So, brother, Dr. Wesley.
Yes, ma'am.
The first question is, can you share with us your journey in regards to how you became involved with the Nation of Islam?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I will certainly abbreviate that.
Okay, I know it's a long journey.
It's a long journey.
Yes, sir.
But in truth, this year, 2022, marks 30 years for me as a registered member of the Nation of Islam. Of course, prior to that, I was a 5%er. And prior to that, I was a arrogant, bitter atheist. Words of truth shook my faith in God and in religion. Words of truth, or let me say it differently. Words of fact shook my faith in religion and God.
Teach, beloved.
That came to me from a middle school professor who was an intellectual giant. Those facts turned me, or words of fact, turned me away from God. A couple years later, words of truth from the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan brought me back to God. And I fell in love after hearing the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in a cafeteria at Morehouse College in Atlanta. I went into that cafeteria, to eat. I'm still an atheist. To eat and to look for my brother Bernard Kushmir. Shout out to Brother Bernard, whom I knew and we were friends, and bless his heart, he tolerated my atheism. That at times was disrespectful, but I loved Farrakhan, so that's why he tolerated me. And when I went into the cafeteria looking for him, I found him arguing with a 5%er. They were arguing about who God is. And that was the first time I heard the words, "The black man is God." And those words had the effect on me that we read that the words, "the white man is the devil," had on Malcolm X or Malcolm Little at the time. So that began my journey, which was a 33-year journey in Islam, a 30-year as an FOI.
33 and 30. Woo!
We'll stop there.
Now look, how many of us got a 30-year history in anything? We thank Allah for that beautiful journey that led you, brother, into this work, man.
I thank
Praise
Allah
be
as
to
well.
Allah.
Thank you.
So what about Dr. Wesley, the research component now? It's not like, a black man just wakes up one morning and says, you know what, I'm gonna be hungry to research. What led you to be so thirsty to do the research?
Yeah, that same process. What it was, when I say I was an arrogant and bitter atheist, I was so confident in my atheism, but not because I studied. Once my faith was shaken and I was mad and became an atheist, I didn't study religion. So I wasn't a knowledgeable atheist. I was just a mad atheist and an arrogant atheist. When I said something to Bernard Kushmir on the campus of Morehouse College, and he said to me, he quoted some words from the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan to me that shook me. He said, well, you know, the minister said you can put 2 black babies on an island and leave them alone. They will grow up believing in God. He quoted the minister saying, when they grow up, or as they grow up, they would look at nature around them in creation and know that there is a creator. Now, those words hit me so heavy. One reason is because at that time, as a freshman, I was taking freshman physics. I was a freshman on campus. I was taking physics and
physics as a freshman. Now, I know you're listening, college students. I know. Yeah. All right. Okay.
And you know, bless his heart, our professor was awful. He was an African, which that doesn't make him awful, except that he didn't know English, so it was hard getting anything out of him or understanding anything he was saying. However, at that moment, I got something from him. He was teaching about how even seemingly random cosmic events submit to scientific law. Events like meteorites or comets that seem to be random, yet there's order underneath the seeming chaos.
Like Rolling Loud being on the eve of this topic of conversation, just random.
Right. So when Bernard said that to me from the minister, the force of it was so heavy, it stopped me in my tracks. And what it did, Brother Lai, it shattered my confidence in atheism the way that Professor shattered my confidence in God. And so now I'm shattered a second time. I done had the rug of disbelief ripped from under my feet, the way the rug of belief was ripped from under my feet. I made the decision on that day. I'm tired of blowing in the wind or blowing in the direction that an intellectual wind is blowing. I
like the rest of all our people.
Right. I made the decision to divest in every belief and disbelief I had. Anything I believe in, I don't believe in it no more. Anything I disbelieve in, I don't disbelieve in it anymore. I decided to study anything and everything. And wherever that academic study led me, that's where I will be. And that study led me to being a registered Muslim, a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan. Now, I have to say this. It almost led me someplace else. Most people don't know that.
Do tell.
I shall, because it helps you understand how your brother does his Islam. I studied everything. I'm in Atlanta, and there's every religion is there, every school of thought is there at the time. There was an African fraternity, Kemet, an alternative to the Greek fraternities and sororities, and I had gotten cool with them. I went and visited Moore Science Temple meetings. I went to church. I called my mother, whom I disrespected tremendously as a bitter atheist, and I hurt her. I called her and asked her to send me that Bible that I used to read. Send it to me in Atlanta, Mom, would you? And she was so happy. I was reading the Bible, so I was studying everything. My ear was under the voice of the 5%er, shout out to Wakil Allah. And I was studying everything. But there was the African fraternity, Kemet, was connected to an organization or movement called the Nation of Al-Kibulan. Akibulan being one of the names of Africa. The leader of the nation of Akibulan then was Minister Ramsey. I would go to their meetings. It was small, but I would go to their meetings as I went to these other meetings. The knowledge that was presented, it impressed me. I started eating, they fed me seaweed. I never had a seaweed dish. But I was eating seaweed dishes, and it was, I almost committed to the nation of Akibulan because I respected the knowledge. It was deep, and it was squaring up with what I was studying, even though what I was getting from the 5%ers was also squaring up. But there was something about the nation of Akibulan's knowledge that resonated with me at the time. But by Allah's grace, Minister Ramesses made a fatal mistake with me.
I think we're about to find out what that fatal mistake was. I have a feeling.
Yeah, he made a fatal mistake with me. He, of course, wanted me to join him. He probably had ambitions of me being his national representative or something like that. But one day I went, and during his talk, he chose to send me a message. And he sent me the very wrong message. He knew that I was searching everything, reading everything, listening to everybody. And he said, you shouldn't, he's speaking to the group, but of course, he's referencing me, said, don't be an intellectual whore. He said, people should not be out there taking a seed from this group, as in seminal seed. Seed from this group, and seed from that group, and seed from that group. You should just have some fidelity to one. I said, okay. When he said that, he reminded me of the reason I threw religion in the trash can. I had, under the tutelage of the 5%er, I had by that time learned that my divine mind was God's gift to me.
One second, Brother Wesley, my headphone just went out. You said something was your divine gift. What did you just say, brother? Can you say that so everybody can hear that one more again?
I shall. Woo. My and your divine mind is God's gift to humanity, and it is the reason the black man is God. It is not our muscle, it's not our penis or a woman's vagina.
Right.
It is not the bag, the money we can acquire. The reason the black man is God.
Come on.
Is because God's power is deposited in the mind of the black man and woman. And so when he, Minister Ramesses, wanted to intellectually handcuff me, that triggered me. I left his home because his church was his home. I left and I never went back. I never saw him again.
Wow.
Another story to illustrate. Because, again, how I do my Islam. And why I am, how my journey led me here. Around that same time, I'm studying and I'm in with my 5% enlightener. Shout out to Wakil Allah. my 5% enlightened. We're sitting in the commons area of students, and a Sunni Muslim comes up to me. And he knows that people knows I'm studying. So he starts questioning me, and then he drops this on me. He says, you know, that Farad Muhammad that the Muslims are talking about, you know, he's a CIA agent, right? I said, oh, what? I'm listening. I don't get up and leave.
Right.
Hey, I'm learning. I don't know. So tell me, what's up? Say, yeah, the CIA recruited him to go among black people and confuse them about Islam and lead them away from Islam. I'm like, word, that's how it went. Said, yeah. No, I wasn't being facetious. I was
right.
At that moment, I didn't know. And then it hit me. There was two things that I happened to know. I knew that Master Farad Muhammad began teaching in 1930 and he stopped teaching in 1934. And I knew that the CIA was created in 1942.
Come on.
A little bit of math. Just a little bit of math.
So I asked him, how can that be? How could Farad be which is how we pronounce it at the time, a CIA agent when the CIA was not in existence at the time? That brother got up and left. Why do I cite that, Brother La? In my 30 years, I have engaged the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that way. I have examined, I have thrown the fire of critical inquiry at all of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I can say, because of that, that the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad are not religious doctrine. They are a verifiable body of knowledge. And there is no fact, there is no data set that does any damage to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So there's no fact, there's no knowledge that any of us Muslims have to fear. There is no data set that can challenge our faith in this teaching. Now, it may challenge our understanding and interpretation of the teachings, but this teaching is totally impervious to any assault from facts. In fact, every fact will do nothing but, in one way or another, verify the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard the best defense being laid down. But let's get into this plot now, brother. I mean, look, we ready now, brother. The pot plot. Talk about that, my brother.
Yes. It's the government's plot.
Come on.
To use weaponized marijuana against black people in particular. You open beautifully with the words of the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan and how drugs are an aesthetic, making the people unable to feel. Very important.
Come on, teach.
In the plot to weaponize marijuana, the U.S. Army Chemical Corps in 1963-64, under the leadership of Colonel James Ketchum, they engaged in a project which was called Conquer by Cannabis Project. Conquer by Cannabis Project. The U.S. Army Chemical Corps. They were looking for a weaponized form of cannabis that can conquer a target population. What do you mean conquer, Colonel James Ketchum? One of the early forms of the weaponized marijuana, in particular, THC is the prize of cannabis, right? If your aim is to get high. It ain't surprised if your aim is to use God's cannabis for its healing, medicinal purposes. For that, you want the THC with the CBD with all of the entourage of chemicals that God has deposited in that cannabis plant. And you want them in the proportion that God has distributed them.
That's right.
If you're using a holy herb to heal. But that ain't what loud is. Loud is a derivative of what Colonel James Ketchum in the U.S. Army Chemical Corps produced in a laboratory to conquer a people. And they said that, or they demonstrated what they mean by conquer. They produced a synthetic THC, and they tried it on dogs, canines, at the University of Michigan. And they knew they were successful when the dogs who they exposed the THC, the synthetic or man-made THC to, had no feeling. You could step on the dog's paws and it would not respond. You can beat the dog. You can.
You're not talking about Michael Vick, are you, Dr. Wesley? You're not talking about Michael Vick. These are other folk.
No, these are dogs.
That's exactly what they are.
Right. Right. Two-legged dogs and four-legged dogs. What two-legged dogs are doing to four-legged dogs.
Right.
When that the THC exposed canines could be abused and not respond like a natural dog would, the U.S. Army Chemical Corps knew they were on to something. And so this weaponized marijuana that we call loud or kush or gas or any variation,
Killer,
all of it, which has an exaggerated proportion of THC,
right,
and a minimized, grafted out proportion of CBD, this loud marijuana numbs the senses of the black man and woman, which is why we can not only suffer the abuse that we suffer in the society, but our enemies are so comfortable that they can, because our abuse is televised.
right?
And every manner of evil that's done to us and caught on camera, the news is very comfortable putting it on heavy rotation because we know it will never trigger outrage from our people. The most they will get from us is black men getting in a prayer circle after that devil Dylan Roof slaughtered at our family in Emmanuel Baptist Church in California. We got in a prayer circle.
North Carolina.
Thank you. We got in a prayer circle and offered prayers for forgiveness for that devil. That is those dogs, that we have been made the human analogs of those canines in the laboratory at the University of Michigan, exposed to the synthetic THC. And so we are abused daily and we don't feel it.
Wow.
Dr. Wesley, since you mentioned THC, if I could, I'm really going to combine two questions that I had prepared for you, my brother, because a lot of my students are succumbing to this. I see this on a constant level when it comes down to young people. Edible CBD products are now more available than ever before. And in my humble opinion, it's a lot more than just my opinion, they're being skillfully marketed to young people in the form of gummy bears, lollipops, candies, cookies, brownies. Is this a sign of the enemy trying to get a whole new generation hooked? And if so, what would be the purpose to this?
Absolutely. Since the 80s, every new generation since then are those whom the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan described as born to settle the 400-year score against America. Born to settle the 400-year score against America. We heard that revelation from Allah through Farrakhan, and the U.S. government heard that revelation as well. And they have assaulted, they have targeted our young people in such a vicious but very calculated and large scale way. The government in 92 was prepared to spend $400 million to biomedically control young black men in the cities.
$400 million.
$400 million. And one of the chief agents of this plotted biomedical control of black men, young black males in the inner city, was a drug that most people know as Depo-Provera.
Birth control drug.
A birth control, used as a birth control drug, but that's only one use of Depo-Provera. It's chemical medroxyprogesterone acetate. Its scientific name.
For fagotizing, it sounds like.
That's exactly. It gender neuters. It feminizes males and it masculinizes females. Young females, if you can get them during adolescence or in the womb.
Come on.
Then you're guaranteed success in manipulating that human being. So the target is adolescence. The target is the womb. When I said from Mas Marian, weed feminizes the black man, the blogs went that night and said, Nation of Islam minister Wesley Muhammad said weed makes you gay. I never said that. I didn't have that thought in my mind at the time.
There you go, silly rabbit.
The feminization that I was talking about was not homosexualizing black men, but the hyper emotionality of black men. That was a feminization that we produces in later stage black males, among other things. But I will say this: weed will not make a grown man gay, but that THC absolutely. When a fetus is exposed to that weaponized THC, it crosses the placenta and it disrupts the endocrine process that goes on in the womb, the masculinizing process of that XY fetus is dependent on testosterone bursts of testosterone in the womb that shapes the neurological masculinity of that child and the physical masculinity of that child. But if you disrupt those testosterone bursts as that THC does, you can produce transgenderism in the womb. You can produce homosexuality in the womb. That's a fact. And so it is not an accident, Brother Tony, that now with these state legalization campaigns,
come on,
whereas before, when a black girl or woman would show up at the hospital pregnant, they would drug test black girls. They wouldn't drug test white girls.
Right.
And if that drug test showed that that mother had been smoking marijuana to calm the morning sickness, they would arrest that black girl. Now.
And take a baby.
Right.
Now they are encouraging pregnant mothers to medicate their morning sickness with dispensary weed. And so now, the last study that I read, 20% of pregnant women tested positive for marijuana in their system. And most of the 20% pregnant women are black women. So black women are being encouraged to expose their fetus to this chemical weapon, which is what this medicated or fabricated synthetic THC is. And so there is no question why we have this black transgender and black homosexuality phenomenon today. And it is a phenomenon because the numbers have ballooned.
That's right.
And it has a lot to do with exposing our young people, pre-adolescent, adolescent, pre-adolescent, and in the womb, exposing our young people to these chemical weapons.
Dr. Wesley, real quick, every once in a while, we take a pause to spank our parents at the appropriate time. Every last one of us listening right now, you know damn well grandma and mama used to tell you, do you cut all that stuff out when you got that baby in your womb? What you look like now, choking and smoking, when you know daggone well you're supposed to cut that out. Shame on us.
And now they're encouraging it, but they're encouraging it for black girls.
That's right.
And black women.
I have a question, Dr. Wesley, because I think this is something that, you know, as growing up, you know, I had friends and family and have a child, who partakes in this marijuana, which we all know is not like it was. And just talking from that perspective, can you go into a little bit about what's happening in the streets right now? Yeah. Because I think a lot of what they are consuming from people, of course, that they don't know. This is a dangerous fact, especially when, back in the day, it was very big to lace marijuana with cocaine. Now it's the fentanyl situation where they're mixing that with cocaine and lacing it in the marijuana. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because we're seeing, of course, an increase. It's all in the news. I mean, they won't mention the marijuana piece, but we know that on the streets, it's real. Maybe talk to the youth about that, because I encourage my son, because they act like they do their little research and they think like, no, it's okay. It's, but I just want you to talk, because
read the dispensary brochure.
Right.
Right.
Oh, it's good.
The pamphlet.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am. Excellent question. First, let me say the loud that Future smokes is not the Mary Jane that Rick James sang about.
Come on.
The Mary Jane that Rick James sang about is not the marijuana that Louis Armstrong tote when he was performing. All of these are very different animals. Natural cannabis, God's plant. Its THC content is less than 1%.
Less than 1%.
Naturally, it's less than 1%. A high amount would be less than 2%. By the 1980s, that had been grafted up to 7 to 10%. Today, it's at 20% and higher. Now, that makes all the difference in the world. That's why it has a different effect.
It does.
Than Mary Jane had on Rick James's generation.
And family, we ain't no saints up here. Just want y'all to know we all came up on that road. Confession time for the brothers out there, Dr. Wesley. We smoked that stuff from the age of 11 to the age of 27. I just don't want them to think that we holier than now coming at them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. So the problem with the weed on the street, Sister Michelle,
yes, sir,
in truth, is not very different from the problem with the weed in the dispensaries. What I mean by that? First, understand, most street weed was clandestinely slipped out of the back door of government laboratories.
Really?
Most street weed was secretly slipped out of the door of government laboratories. That's a fact. Now, what street weed and dispensary weed have in common is neither one of them have any natural THC in it. Government website makes clear that it's the synthetic THC that's made available in all dispensary products. It's a laboratory created molecule, THC, that has a very important addition to it over and against natural THC. Natural THC is not an alkaloid. As the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan mentioned, cocaine as an alkaloid,
right?
Heroin as an alkaloid. The reason, this is why they are so addictive. What makes them an alkaloid is their primary molecule has a nitrogen atom in it. THC was the only non-alkaloid intoxicant because THC doesn't have naturally a nitrogen atom in it until the U.S. Army Chemical Corps secured Dr. Alexander Shulgin, the grandfather of Molly, but also the grandfather hip-hop's Molly,
right,
and also the grandfather of weaponized marijuana. He's the one that successfully introduced a nitrogen atom into the THC molecule. This is why.
Wow.
This marijuana is so addictive. So DJ Prince Paul of 3-6 Mafia, you know, 3-6 Mafia are notorious drug abusers.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
DJ Prince Paul said he's done with weed because it scares him because the weed that people are smoking is so addictive. It's the new crack.
Right.
And he wasn't talking about dispensary weed. Street weed and dispensary weed both have in them this synthetic THC molecule that has a nitrogen atom in it, which is why it's so addictive and so damaging.
Everybody going to school tonight.
And the last point, why street weed and dispensary weed are similar, because they both have the same level of contaminations. They've done studies with comparing street weed contamination and dispensary contamination, and dispensary marijuana is as contaminated with poisons and dangerous chemicals as street weed is. So don't think you can run behind any of those trees and avoid the effect of the pot plot. If you get street weed, if you order seeds and grow it in your backyard, you're still going to be victimized. If you get it from your local dispensary, you're still going to be victimized.
Dear family, I gotta get going. I have another broadcast to go to in complete Spanish.
Antonio.
May Allah bless you all with a beautiful broadcast. Dr. Wesley, I love you.
I love you.
Let's keep getting that word out. Assalamu alaikum.
So, Dr. Wesley, it's interesting that you said that. I saw today that one of our historically Black universities, Florida A&M, they have actually received research money, but they're using it to promote the benefits, the health benefits of marijuana, but yet the contract is from the government using what you just said. So now, are they on our Black college campuses now?
Oh, absolutely. Just as the government gave our historically Black colleges millions of much needed dollars in order to promote the vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine.
Right.
In other words, the government gave our Black colleges money to entrap them into promoting the vaccine. They're throwing money at our Black institutions to entrap our people in the pot plot. Now, they're using equivocation. What do I mean by that? They are conflating God's cannabis with Satan's marijuana.
Brother, is there a chapter in the book called that? Let's see that book. Could you say that one more time? God's what and Satan's what?
Yeah. When they do that, they are deceptively conflating God's cannabis. The cannabis plant is profoundly beneficial to humans. That's why God gave it to us. It has the right components in the right amount to affect the body and the mind positively in many different ways if used correctly. Now, it was never intended. God's cannabis was never intended for humans to smoke it and then smoke it recreationally. Once you put fire to it, it changes the chemical composition into something else, and you can put fire to it theoretically and use it for medicine. But just as if you got a headache and you take Tylenol, that's not the same as recreationally popping aspirin. Medicine is used for the moment. And God's cannabis absolutely has medicinal value. But when you put on a program touting the medical benefits of cannabis, and as part of that program, you are encouraging people to visit their local dispensary, you are being satanically deceptive, because ain't none of that medicinal cannabis in that dispensary. That dispensary has a THC that God didn't create, Satan created it. That marijuana preparation lacks the CBD that God deposited in cannabis for a very specific reason, one of which was to tame the negative effects of THC. But when you graft the CBD out and leave THC to its own devices, like grafting the black germ out, meaning grafting it away, separating the brown germ from the black germ, leaving the brown germ to its own devices, you get the white man and all of its wickedness. Well, that's the marijuana we're smoking. Marijuana where the brown germ THC was grafted up and the black germ CBD was grafted out, and it's a wicked weed producing a wicked effect in the people.
My God.
Wow.
Look, since we're talking about the book, Dr. Wesley, since you have written your book, The Pot Plot, is there any more development in regards to synthetic weed? Because we're dealing with, and for those who don't know what synthetic means, we're talking about fake weed, right?
Laboratory created, man.
Exactly. So since we know that the side effects, one being rapid heart rate, vomiting, all types of other things, can you expound further on the damages of the synthetic weed?
Yes, absolutely. A whole
Great question, sister. Great question.
Yeah. One of the reasons the black man and woman are so unresponsive to abuse, like those dogs in the laboratory at the University of Michigan. One of the reasons the so-called Negro, after 400 years, still sees white people as potential friends. We don't sense the threat that white people cause to us. One of the reasons is our threat awareness center in our brain, the amygdala, has been killed by this THC. The synthetic THC, it damages the part of the brain that the amygdala that is supposed to alert us to a threat in the environment. When that amygdala is damaged, we take obvious natural enemies like a cat to a mouse. When they expose the mouse to this THC, it didn't recognize the threat that the cat that was introduced posed to it. And similarly, they introduced this THC to a cat. And when they introduced a mouse into the cage, the cat was terrified of the mouse.
My God.
If any of what you're hearing right now sounds like a description of what's going on in your hood with them big bad so-called homeboys, it's not a coincidence.
That is exactly right, and that is exactly the point. This THC, it damages the prefrontal cortex of our brain, and is very important because the prefrontal cortex is part of the brain right between your eyes, behind your forehead skull. It's that part of the brain that is responsible for higher thinking, for executive function, right? It's that part of the brain that's responsible for impulse control and emotion regulation. When you damage the prefrontal cortex, then this is how, and this is what I was initially referring to. This is how our emotions, we lack control of our emotions. So most black on black violence results from impulsive violence. It's not premeditated. It's not planned or strategic violence. All violence ain't created equal. Dominant males in the dominance hierarchy use violence strategically, non-emotionally to achieve an aim. Non-dominant men, their violence is emotion driven, it's impulse driven. You triggered me, I'm mad, I happen to have a gun, so I'm gonna shoot you. That's black violence. That's non-dominant male violence. Because we don't have control of our emotions, we don't have regulation of our impulses. Why? Because our prefrontal cortex has been damaged by a number of chemical assaults, including this legalized marijuana. And the last point I'm going to say on that, this is why legal marijuana is so much worse, so much more dangerous than crack cocaine.
My God.
Wait, Dr. Wesley, my headphone went out on that. You said something about crack cocaine. Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I really want to get that on the record.
Yeah.
I am saying that legal marijuana is more dangerous than crack cocaine. Why do I say that? Well, because crack cocaine was so devastating on the physiology. When the U.S. government dropped crack in our communities, and we didn't know what it was, so we fell victim. We made our money selling it, but it didn't take long for the community to be devastated by it. And young people saw it so bad. So crack cocaine had really a 10-year lifespan. Crack cocaine fizzled out in the early 90s, and black people weren't even messing with marijuana. Crack scared us so much that we were scared straight.
Crack did scare the hell out of us, y'all. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
We stopped using even marijuana. They had to conscript hip hop.
Let's talk about hip hop.
To marijuana, but so the good thing about crack is that it is so transparently damaging. That's the bad thing about marijuana. Because we can smoke marijuana and still get up and go to work. We think marijuana is good.
Right.
What we don't know is that the jobs that we do, these low intellect jobs, marijuana don't disrupt that. That ain't based in a prefrontal.
You stepped on 10,000 toes, Dr. Wesley. You just stepped on about 10,000 toes for the record.
The rear. The jobs that most of us are doing, we don't need our prefrontal cortex for that. Prefrontal cortex is for that higher level thinking.
Right.
It's for strategizing to overcome an enemy. So because legal marijuana, its effects are more covert, but equally real, it's more dangerous because we think it is safe. We think it is good, but legalized marijuana achieves our enemy's objective. The objective isn't to cause the devastation that crack cocaine caused.
Right.
They found that was counterproductive to their agenda.
Right.
The aim of weaponized marijuana was to conquer by cannabis, not kill. It's a non-lethal chemical weapon for non-lethal warfare. We want to conquer this people, not kill them.
Put them to sleep.
So in the conquer, and if the objective is to conquer, then we will switch from crack to weaponized marijuana.
All right, so
that's more than a warning from a damn Surgeon General family right here on the 7th Region Coalition.
Listen, Dr. Wesley. I'm texting my son are you listening? Do you have questions? And he's like, no, I'm just listening. I may have some questions after, but
now, mom, don't. I gotta step in real quick, mom. This my teacher hat I gotta put on.
Yes.
Right. Let the man listen, mom. Leave him alone, mom. Mom. Leave him alone, mom. If he's listening, leave him alone.
All right, I will. But now, my other question is, Dr. Wesley, if someone has been on it for a projected amount of time, right? And I know you mentioned that there may be some frontal damage to the brain, right? For the overuse of or the use of the synthetic marijuana, and that's not including anything that's laced in it. What would be your advice to the young people if they want to move themselves off of it?
You're going in the laboratory.
I mean, look, that's a real library you see behind there. What that brother has on that, I see what's coming too. I know what's coming, ladies and gentlemen. Brace yourself. Here we go.
This is the only detox. This is a prescription. This dietary prescription given by God to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is literally the only way that we can successfully undo the damage that our enemy has done. Let's take an example. The specific fasting regimen. We have a specific fasting regimen. We fast 3 days a month, every month.
Right.
We are taught to eat 1 meal a day, and ideally 1 meal every other day. Now, Satan calls the first or 3-day fast. Satan calls it long-term fasting. Satan calls the other part of our fast once a day or once every other day, intermittent fasting.
Right.
What they discovered was that this specific fasting regimen, it regenerates are cells in the body, and in particular, neurons. It regenerates. The process of fasting in a 72-hour period regenerates brain cells and triggers brain repair processes. So if we started our young people at the appropriate time early enough, we can begin repairing the body. And then he says, eat the navy bean.
Right.
He says, eat cabbage, but the white of it, don't mess with the green of it. See, these are very specific prescriptions. Yes, and they happen to be the prescriptions that reverses the effect of what I call the testosterone conspiracy and the estrogen assault. The testosterone conspiracy and the estrogen assault against Black America. The Black man globally is the world's Mr. T. Mr. Testosterone. Now, testosterone is vitally important here. Testosterone isn't a sex drive hormone, except on a secondary level.
Right.
They have switched to referring to testosterone. They're now referring to it as the power hormone rather than just the sex hormone. It's the power hormone because testosterone is a biological source for drive for power. Males and females have testosterone,
right?
Just as males and females have estrogen,
right?
But God's divine binary. This world hates gender binary.
Right.
God created male and female.
Right.
Facebook created 72 others in between.
Right.
And then some more still coming. They're still creating things.
Unbelievable.
I saw a new thing today. They're creating things every day.
When you see God's divine binary, male and female, they each have a particular biochemical profile.
Right.
So while men have estrogen and women have testosterone, divine masculinity is higher testosterone, lower estrogen.
Now, Dr. Wesley, you said men have what and women have what?
Yes. Let me complete the thought.
Right, because I know I wanted to because I think it might have been reversed.
Men have higher testosterone,
right,
and lower estrogen.
Thank you, brother.
And women have a higher amount of, they have lower testosterone than men. Men have 10 times the amount of testosterone that women have, but women have testosterone. And the testosterone to estrogen ratio in women is what makes natural femininity. Now you can manipulate that. You can manipulate those ratios.
Right.
And by manipulating all of that, you can produce a whole bunch of gender profiles. And the Black male globally has the highest endowment of this power hormone, testosterone, than any male population on the planet. This is one of the biological bases of the truth. The black man is God. God is a being of power and force, and the black man is endowed with the greatest amount of this power hormone. Now, black man in America, don't go beating your chest after hearing that.
Right.
Especially since we're already asleep.
Because it don't apply to us anymore. The black male in America is Mr. E. Mr. Testosterone. They've done studies comparing estrogen blood levels in different male populations. And black males in America have the highest estrogen body burden than any other male population globally that was tested. This is the effects of the estrogen assault against black America. So we have gone from the world's Mr. T to the world's Mr. E. And part of that chemical assault is through this weaponized marijuana. This weaponized marijuana diminishes testosterone in men, and the smoke produced at the end of that blunt, it has estrogenic or estrogen-like chemicals that we inhale and it gets into our body. This is why many long-term smokers of marijuana have this condition, gynecomastia, I think it's pronounced, man breast, man boobs, which is a sign of high estrogen toxicity in the male's body. This weaponized marijuana triggers in women the adrenal gland to release excess testosterone. So while this THC, the same THC, feminizes males, it masculinizes females. And the only reason, because I get this often not in here, the one who would say, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would if THC feminizes men, then women should smoke a lot of weed to get feminine? Well, you just don't understand the truth that the Quran says women are not like men, and men are not like women.
That's right.
We are distinct, and there are many cases in which the same thing produces the opposite effect.
Teach.
Wow. It's so powerful. And you know, as I'm listening, and you know, and I know I'm being a mom, but you know, I mean, I know other people that use it. I mean, my mom was just mentioning to me the other night that my uncle who has pain goes and he does it for medicinal issues. He has mythology, I think or I think numbness in the foot, I think. And he utilizes it for that. But considering that these particular things are in these products, is there any way, Dr. Wesley, for them to find something real that they can take? Because we know that there are real benefits to it.
Right. I want to be really clear. I will have nothing to say about or against the medical use of any drug, right? I will never advocate doing heroin. However, if what are those shots that women in labor get?
Oh, the
epidural.
Am I going to condemn my wife or anyone else's wife for taking that epidural?
Not while you standing right there next to her, brother. Not while you standing right there next to her. You won't.
That's morphine.
Right.
That's a medicinal use of the same drug that is ravaging the community due to recreational use. I would never condemn the medicinal use of cannabis any more than you ever hear me condemn the epidural.
Right.
You won't get me on any, I don't. When I get headaches, I'm not quick to pop a pill, an aspirin, but I'm not gonna lie. If the potheads really get to me and my head is really hurting, I might take a Tylenol. I don't. Hey, I'm just being honest.
Right. Yes, sir.
With a headache. But when a headache,
not the headache, family, the headache, not the headache, the headache.
When a headache is gone, I'm not going to engage in a recreational use of aspirin, and the government is wrong, in my opinion, when they are telling people, and I think now they are admitting it, when they are recommending people take daily aspirin.
Right.
Just because.
Bear.
Nah. So a brother called me, one of my brothers. Young brother. He was diagnosed with MS. He was in his 20s. At the most, his early 30s.
Wow.
He was diagnosed with MS, and he called me with some anxiety. The doctor recommended medical cannabis for him to treat some of his symptoms, and he called me worried, like, well, should I? Because of my teacher on a pop plot. But brother, it's not a question. What we are saying about weaponized weed that Black people recreationally consume is a very different conversation than the use of any chemical for medical purposes.
Right.
So you will never get your brother. Now, the only caveat is this. We know that medical weed has been just a euphemism for the recreational use of marijuana. It's easy to get a green card, if you will.
Right.
So the meds have been, recreational use before that state legalized it. So that's the only caveat. But genuine medicinal use of any chemical, you're not going to get me saying anything against. That's not what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, praise be to Allah. It's good to know. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I would just say it's good to know, because those things come up and you want to make sure that you're making the right decision. Right. But it's not like you're saying, I'm feeling stressed, so I'm just gonna, or you know what I mean? Like I'm having a bad day, I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? It's not those moments.
There are some medical equipment that they put in our body that has pork product integrated into it. And some of us would reject that medical instrument, or think we should reject that medical instrument because we're Muslims and we don't want any pork in our body.
Right.
But such a scenario came to the Honorable Brother Minister Farrakhan, and of course the answer is, do you want to live? Having a necessary medical device in our body that puts pork in our body, it's not the same as eating pork chops.
Oh, Dr. Wesley, you just messed up all bean pie scientist Muslims. You just messed them all up, brother.
Medicine should be left where medicine is.
Right.
And I'm going to close on this point, just so people aren't confused by the language recreation.
Right.
The difference between medical and recreational is the amount of consumption. With marijuana is a great illustration. Marijuana has a particular characteristic property called biphasic property. Two phases. This speaks to the characteristic of cannabis that at small doses, it has one effect. At larger doses, it has the exact opposite effect. So this is why the medicinal use, which is usually a limited dosage, can have a medicinal effect, but recreational use means continued chronic use, which puts its use according to its biphasic property. It reverses continued use, reverses the medicinal effect of short-term use. So when we say recreational versus medicinal, that recreational use implies this continued use, chronic use of marijuana that absolutely reverses any good effect that natural cannabis medicinally provides.
Wow.
Wow, Dr. Wesley, you have not only been teaching, dear brother, you got a lot of listening ears, and I know we got to take this plane and circle it, but
I have one more question, but go ahead.
Go right ahead, Sister Khalid. No, man.
No,
we can't land plane before your question.
I want to get into the legal ramification of marijuana. We have our Black brothers and sisters in the criminal system for selling, using, and just involved with marijuana. Some of them, because of the amount of the pounds of marijuana that they have possessed, some of them are serving 25 years, and some of them are even serving life just off of a marijuana charge. Now that this substance have become legalized, how do you feel about the system that still have our brothers and sisters criminated for something that now is legalized?
I have said, and that's why the title you have chosen for our conversation is so appropriate. Tricknology. I have said that the state legalization of marijuana is a trick against Black people. It puts our enemies in such a win-win scenario with us. State legalization of marijuana is a trick. It is absolutely tricknology. Now, before I expound on that, let me speak to something you referenced so that there's no confusion.
Yes, sir.
Professor Michelle Alexander beautifully documented the new Jim Crow, the mass incarceration of Black males in particular that devastated the community, took husbands, boyfriends, fathers, sons, uncles, drained the community of so many Black males, warehousing them in these prisons. And the main pretext for this mass incarceration regime was marijuana possession.
Right.
Not violent crime, not cocaine, wasn't even the crack 3 strikes, you're out.
Right.
Disproportionately, the black males that are languishing in prison as a result of this mass incarceration regime are in there for marijuana.
Right.
That is a crime against humanity. And all of those black men should be released.
That's right.
And those who suffered their time and have been released, they do deserve reparations from the multi-billion-dollar legal weed industry. Instead of expunging the record that really has little practical value to them today, you should give them a check cut from this billion-dollar industry that black people are cut out of now. That being said, I am not an advocate. You won't hear me celebrate after lamenting the effects of mass incarceration because of weed, the criminalization of weed. You won't hear me follow that up with a celebration of the legalization of weed today. Why? Because the mass incarceration regime is still in effect for black and brown men in states where marijuana is legal.
Right.
Black men here in Chicago, recreational marijuana was legalized in January 2020. And the advocates achieved this victory on a pretext and pretense that it will lower the arrest rate of black and brown men. And in fact, we know now that the arrest rate for black men is still 3 times what it is of white males.
Nothing changed.
For drug possession.
Actual facts
has changed. It's true in Colorado. More black and brown men were arrested for drug possession after legalization than before. It's true in California for 2 reasons. As long as marijuana is criminalized federally, state legalization does not protect anybody. So, in some cases, local police will move aside and let the feds do the arresting. In other cases, like Chicago, local police are still doing the same amount of arresting of black people for marijuana, where it's legal.
Think over that.
With the definition of what constitutes legal marijuana.
My God.
So in Chicago, in Colorado, in California, in all of these legal states, black males are still the victims of this mass incarceration regime. We've been tricked into thinking it's okay for us to light up on the block. And then they swoop in and sweep us up off the block. It is happening today, post-legalization, as it was happening pre-legalization. It's tricknology.
You know, let me say this here, and if I drop off, family, you know, this battery may get the best of me. But I'm listening to the wealth of knowledge that our brother is giving us. And I understand you're going to be teaching on Sunday.
Yes.
And I don't want our audience to leave without having an opportunity to continue this beautiful dialogue conversation. Oh, look at that. When all else fails. This Sunday.
I
Dr. Wesley.
certainly invite our listening audience to join us at Mosque Mariam in Chicago Sunday, this upcoming Sunday. If you're not in the Chicago area, certainly visit your local mosque to hear your local representative, or to tune in, if they will, to the national broadcast. You can tune in yourself this Sunday at NOI.org/webcast. Yes, we are blessed to be able to mount the rostrum at our flagship mosque again this Sunday. When all else fails, is our subject.
Praises be to
I think all
Allah.
else is failing, but you surely didn't fail to educate us this evening, my dear brother.
Inshallah. Thank you.
You spoke to all of us, family. Share this message wide. Just let brothers and sisters listen and learn and then live. Just powerful.
Listen, learn, and live. That's powerful. That is the process. Listen. If we listen, we can learn. And by learning, we can save our life.
And that's what we all about.
Right.
Saving lives. And without further ado, I want to do a small, just a quick snippet of your book, Dr. Wesley. This is the book. Listen, you go and get it.
The pot plot. Understanding the Assault on the Black Man, Volume 2, The Pot Plot, Marijuana, Hip Hop, and the Scientific Assault on Black America. Wesley Muhammad, one of Allah's select researchers.
This book is thicker than a snicker, as they said in the streets, brother.
800 pages, 2,000 footnotes.
800 pages, 2,000 footnotes.
It is because it admittedly was an overkill operation, what they call it in covert ops, an overkill operation, because I was responding to the tsunami of outrage, rejection, incredulity that our claims made. And so in order to bust through the brick wall of disbelief, I had to overcome the will to disbelieve. Everybody has a will to disbelieve. So I had to engage in an overkill operation. While in most academic circumstances, citing 2 or 3 sources for a particular point is adequate, I had to cite 10 and 12 sources. Saying the same thing, but because it's coming from me, I had to overcome your will to disbelieve at this point. You're not going to believe me, and you're not going to, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, think 5 times before we speak.
Maybe.
And these people probably think the first 5 people, or at least 4 people I quote, are liars.
Right.
So I had to get above that threshold and cite 10 to 12 people.
But Dr. Wesley, there's something else more powerful that you did, brother. More powerful than all the people who talk about this subject, brother. That is a labor of love. And so all you naysayers, I don't want to hear nothing from you until you outlove Dr. Wesley Muhammad. You outlove him through that research, and then we might listen, brother. My battery's definitely going to die, but I'm good, man. I'm good.
Dr. Wesley, I want to thank you, because I think this is very powerful. And I've been an advocate, in as far as with my family, just not to do those types of things, and really to focus on how to eat to live, right? to look at their mother to see where I am. And I won't tell my age, but I but I know that I've gotten
You're
this
a
far.
Muslim. We can tell our age. Our
But
age astonishes the world. I ain't even gonna say somebody looking at gonna be 56 in a couple days. I ain't even gonna say it.
That's not me, but I'm just but all I'm saying is that I really appreciate what you've done. And with the teachings, I always tell everybody, I'm like, if you benefit from what you've heard, then make sure you tell somebody else.
That's right.
Right. So you might be saving a life. Right. So I really appreciate this because, sometimes, as a parent, right, you're talking, your children don't listen. Right. But it's like when I told my son, I said, listen, there's evidence that the minister backed. Right. I said, if you don't believe me, believe the minister, because you know that man is not going to lie to you, right?
That is absolutely correct.
So, I really appreciate what you've done, and I'm so happy that my son decided to listen. He understands. I mean, they were raised, but as the youth, they pluck her off, right? But always my prayer is that they hold on, because it is such an attack, and we all, I got black boys, right? And I'm always concerned about everything. It's this, it's that, it's if it's not this, it's that, and so it's just for me, I'm very thankful, and I'm very thankful to Master Farad Muhammad for coming, right? And the person, right? Right, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the minister. I mean, if it was not for them, I don't know if this is where I would be at this point in my life. I just
if it were not for them, we would not stand a chance in hell.
Right.
That's right.
Yes, sir. So
thank you, Sister Michelle. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Ali, Brother Lyle, thank you so much for this wonderful time. Thank you for inviting your brother and engaging your brother.
Praises be to
Allah. Keep up, keep blowing the trumpet of truth.
That's right. And y'all keep blowing this and share it, especially this weekend all around Miami. Share it all around. Wherever you see rolling clouds, share this message. I mean, we love you, Dr. Wesley.
Love you.
Love you, Dr. Wesley. Absolutely.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Woo, that was powerful.
Yeah. Y'all might have to end up closing out. Just want y'all to know that. This thing get ready to go. This get ready to go.
Yeah, but we just really quickly, we're just gonna go over our tree of the week. And our tree of the week. Go ahead.
I hope you've been looking at that across the screen, that 7th region Cash App family.
Oh, absolutely. Please help support.
StreamYard ain't free, and neither are we.
Right.
Right there. Boom, bada boom, right there. Right there, family. No, don't wait. Do it right now. And go get your people to do that too. Go get your people to do that.
Any and everything that you can provide, we appreciate. It does take a lot of work. We do this out of a labor of love. We don't get anything from it, but we definitely want to make sure that we let you know that what we do because we're trying to save your lives.
Right.
If it's information, if it's individuals like the student minister, Dr. Wesley Muhammad coming on. I mean, we've had some powerhouses, Ilyar Rashad. We've had some Brother Dimitri. I mean, we've had some powerhouses on here.
Right.
And we don't really literally ask for much, but what we do ask is for your support with sharing and anything monetarily that will help us continue to do what we do.
Don't make us start charging you by each fact that you get, because that way y'all might be bankrupt. So you better give it up now while you can. Just give it on up. Help out the 7th Region Coalition Cash App.
Absolutely.
Praises be to Allah. And also, without further ado, next week, I think we're losing our brother.
We're losing Brother Lab.
Next week, on July the 29th and through July the 31st, we will have our national training conference. hosted by our dear brother, Grandmaster Abdul Afiz Muhammad. It's going to be all the way live. I am so excited. Me, Sister Michelle, inshallah, will be attending because just because we wear these beautiful headpieces and these wonderful tams, we are warriors. We are soldiers. And in order for us to get the training that we need, we're going to definitely have to be at this conference because a student always get training.
That's right.
So this is an idea, and it is not too late. It is not too late. If you don't have the money, call somebody who has some money, who's already done set up a beachhead where they're going to be like and say, hey, can I bump with you? It's only 3 days, right? But this is going to be information that you need, so please register now. It is not too late. And all the information is on the flyer. If you want more information, please, you can email us at the 7th Region Coalition at gmail.com. And without further ado, we're going to do our Tree of the Week.
Tree of the Week. Tree of
the Week. Tree of the Week. Tree of the Week. Our Tree of the Week today. And I'm brother Lau actually just left, but our Tree of the Week today is actually brought to you by Brother Lau. Brother Lau basically said, because we come up with these Tree of the Weeks just to, for support, but he mentioned, he's like, the Tree of the Week should be no trees,
right.
And no weed.
And no weed.
Right. And the beautiful thing about not having any type of intoxicants or any of this, synthetic, marijuana in your system, there are benefits of not being so intoxicated with this chemical, and also the benefits of quitting. So I'm talking to the ones that are smoking weed, and the benefits if you quit weed. First of all, it will help you help with weight loss. Okay, it will clear up your skin. How many of you have seen people who actually smoke this synthetic marijuana, their skin turned 4 to 5 shades darker? That means that their skin is not even in the element that it's supposed to be in. So it clears your skin up. It helps you sleep better when you do not smoke weed or you quit smoking weed. You have more energy when you do not, sustain marijuana. You have better memory. Okay? It reduces the risk of cancer. It increases intelligence and focus. This is a good one because right now we are dealing with a spike, in COVID-19 treatment, and as well as COVID-19 episodes where now people are getting COVID-19 now. But when you stop smoking marijuana, it improves a stronger immune system.
All right. So
It better helps your cholesterol and your blood pressure. Okay. And for those of you who think that marijuana reduces pain, it does not. It's a mind thing that allows the body to think that it's reducing pain. But if you quit marijuana, it will reduce pain naturally. Okay? So that's my information. for No Weed, the treat of the week, brought to you by Brother Lau. And back to you, Sister Michelle.
Yes, ma'am. And I just want to make sure that, that everybody takes away that, for medicinal reasons, student minister Dr. Wesley Muhammad talked about, if you got a situation where it's either going to dramatically reduce it from a serious situation, like he mentioned as an example, MS. You do what is the most advisable thing for you to do, so that you can have somewhat of a quality life, right? So, and definitely, don't choose, well, I'm not gonna. If that's what's gonna save your life, you do it. But it's the recreational portion that he mentioned. So as you're moving away, or hopefully moving away, if you're doing the recreational piece of it, understand and go back and listen what student minister Dr. Wesley mentioned. He mentioned a lot of information, and he mentioned a reason why it's not good. There's so many reasons that he provided. Go back and review what he mentioned and what he talked about, and the potential damage that it's doing to the frontal of the brain. Right? Do a little research. Exactly, the frontal lobe, right? And so you want to make sure that he didn't do and take time to do that research, that again, that was backed by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So with that being said, Sister Kalila, listen, we the two surviving, right, members of the 7th Region Coalition, right? And hopefully, again, the audience has taken a lot from what we've brought tonight. Please support. As we mentioned, this is, again, it's a labor of love, but we certainly would love your support. Thank you for anything and anything that you've already given. Okay. And we appreciate you. We want you to continue to come and visit Thursday Night Talks. Again, some of us will be at the conference next week. Hopefully you're able to make it. If you're not, again, you can tune in. We will have always something good for you to watch. We appreciate your presence. We thank you again. And Sister Kalila, I know Brother Lau's not here.
Right.
But, we're not a clique. We're not a gang. We're the 7th Region Coalition.
May Allah continue to bless all of you as we leave you as we came, in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.